Shadows of Deception. Chapter 3. Flames of Passion. The days following Miguel's expulsion from the estate were fraught with unease. Rumors swirled among the staff and family members, each whisper adding another thread to the tangled web of secrets. Elena paced her bedroom, her thoughts a whirlwind of confusion. The revelation about her father's involvement in illicit activities gnawed at her. She needed answers. A soft knock drew her attention. "Elena? It's Isabella." She hesitated before opening the door. "What do you want?" Isabella stepped inside, her demeanor surprisingly gentle. "I wanted to check on you. You've been isolating yourself." Elena regarded her warily. "I'm fine." "Are you?" Isabella pressed. "I know we've had our differences, but I'm still your sister." Elena sighed. "It's just, everything feels like it's unraveling." Isabella touched her arm lightly. "Maybe you need a distraction. Get away from the estate for a bit." "Perhaps," Elena conceded, though she doubted a change of scenery would alleviate her concerns. "Think about it," Isabella suggested before leaving the room. Later that afternoon, Elena decided to visit the city, hoping the bustling streets might offer some respite. As she walked through the market squares, the vibrant colors and lively atmosphere provided a temporary escape. She stopped by a cafe, taking a seat by the window. Lost in thought, she didn't notice Alejandro entering until he sat across from her. "Fancy meeting you here," he said with a charming smile. She forced a smile in return. "I needed some air." He nodded. "I understand. Things have been difficult." "That's an understatement," she replied, stirring her coffee absently. "Listen," he began, leaning forward. "I want to make things right between us." She looked up, meeting his gaze. "How can we, when there are so many secrets?" "I'll tell you everything," he promised. "No more lies." She considered his offer. "All right, start from the beginning." He took a deep breath. "My family's business hasn't always been legitimate. When Miguel and I partnered, we tried to steer things in a better direction, but old ties are hard to break." "Go on," she encouraged. "Miguel has been involved in some questionable dealings behind my back. When I confronted him, he became defensive. I think he's using our company as a front for smuggling artifacts, possibly ones connected to your family's collection." Elena's eyes widened. "So you think he's the one who stole La Estrella?" "It's a possibility," Alejandro admitted, "especially if the necklace is tied to Project Estrella." She frowned. "But why would he risk everything?" "Money, power, who knows?" he replied. "But I want to help you find the truth." Before she could respond, Alejandro's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, his expression darkening. "I need to take this." He stepped outside to answer the call, leaving Elena alone once more. As she sipped her coffee, a familiar figure caught her eye across the street. Carlos stood near a vendor, watching her intently. She waved him over. "I didn't expect to see you here," she said as he approached. "I was following a lead," he explained, his gaze shifting to where Alejandro stood outside, still on the phone. "Another coincidence," she remarked dryly. "Perhaps not," Carlos replied. "I have some information you might find interesting." "Care to share?" He pulled out a folded piece of paper from his jacket. "I traced some of the offshore accounts we found in your father's ledger. They link back to a shell corporation owned by Victoria." Elena's heart skipped a beat. "That can't be right." "I'm afraid it is," he said gently. "I think she's more involved than she's letting on." She shook her head. "First my father, now my aunt? This is too much. Carlos placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. We'll get to the bottom of it. Alejandro re-entered the cafe, his expression unreadable. Sorry about that. Carlos straightened. I should go. Alejandro watched him leave before turning back to Elena. What did he want? Just updating me on the investigation, she replied evasively. Alejandro's eyes narrowed slightly. You seem to be spending a lot of time with him. He's helping me find the truth, she retorted. I'm trying to help too, he reminded her. Are you? She challenged. Or are you hiding more secrets? Frustration flashed across his face. I came here to be honest with you, but it feels like you're shutting me out. She stood up abruptly. Maybe I need some time to think. Before he could respond, she exited the cafe, leaving him staring after her. As dusk settled, Elena found herself wandering aimlessly until she reached a familiar park. The gentle sound of a fountain and the rustling of leaves offered a semblance of peace. Elena, a voice called softly. She turned to see Carlos approaching. Were you following me? Not intentionally, he said with a faint smile. But I'm glad I found you. She sat on a bench, and he joined her. Everything feels so complicated, she confessed. He looked at her thoughtfully. Sometimes, amidst the chaos, we find clarity. She met his gaze. How do you always know what to say? He chuckled lightly. Occupational hazard, I suppose. A comfortable silence settled between them. The tension of the past days seemed to fade, replaced by an unspoken connection. Without thinking, Elena leaned in, and their lips met in a gentle kiss. It was brief, but filled with unspoken emotions. She pulled back abruptly. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have. He shook his head. Don't apologize. Her cheeks flushed. It's just, everything is so confusing. He took her hand. I understand. At that moment, her phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen. Isabella was calling. I should take this, she said, standing up. Of course, Carlos replied, watching as she walked a few paces away. Elena, you need to come home. Isabella's voice sounded urgent. What's wrong? It's Aunt Victoria. She's collapsed. Elena's heart raced. I'm on my way. She ended the call and turned to Carlos. I have to go. I'll drive you, he offered. They hurried back to the estate, tension mounting. Upon arrival, they found Victoria lying on a sofa, pale and weak. What happened? Elena asked, kneeling beside her. Isabella hovered nearby. She said she felt dizzy and then fainted. Victoria opened her eyes slowly. I'm fine, just overexerted. Elena frowned. We should call a doctor. No, Victoria insisted weakly. I just need rest. Reluctantly, Elena agreed. All right, but I'm staying with you. As the evening wore on, Victoria fell into a restless sleep. Elena sat by her side, thoughts swirling. The revelation about Victoria's possible involvement weighed heavily on her. Isabella entered quietly, offering a cup of tea. Here, you must be exhausted. Thank you, Elena said softly. They sat in silence for a moment before Isabella spoke. I know things have been difficult between us. Elena glanced at her. Why do I feel like there's more to that statement? Isabella sighed. I haven't been entirely honest with you. What do you mean? I've been working with someone to uncover the truth about our family's past, she admitted. Elena's eyes narrowed. Who? Before Isabella could answer, Footsteps approached. Alejandro stood in the doorway. "We need to talk." Elena stood up. "Not now." "It's important," he insisted. She glanced at Isabella. "We'll continue this later." Reluctantly, Isabella left the room. Alejandro closed the door behind her. "I know about you and Carlos." Her stomach dropped. "What are you talking about?" "I saw you together in the park," he revealed. "You kissed him." She felt a mix of guilt and defensiveness. "You were following me?" "I was concerned," he said tersely. "And it seems I had reason to be." "You're one to talk about secrets," she retorted. "At least Carlos has been honest with me." His eyes flashed with anger. "You don't know him like I do." "What does that mean?" she demanded. "He's not just a detective," Alejandro revealed. "He has his own agenda." "You're deflecting," she accused. "I think you're just jealous." He stepped closer. "Elena, listen to me. Carlos is using you." She shook her head. "I don't believe you." "Ask him about his past," Alejandro challenged. "See what he tells you." Frustrated, she pushed past him. "I don't have time for this." She made her way to the library, where she hoped to find some solitude. Instead, she found Isabella rifling through old books. "Still searching for answers?" Elena asked coolly. Isabella looked up, startled. "I didn't expect you." "Who are you working with?" Elena pressed. Isabella hesitated. "Promise you won't get upset." "Just tell me." "It's Miguel," she confessed. "We've been trying to expose the corruption in Alejandro's company." Elena's jaw tightened. "You sided with Miguel after everything?" "He showed me evidence," Isabella insisted. "Alejandro and Victoria have been laundering money using our family's assets." Elena's mind spun. "I don't know who to believe anymore." Isabella placed a hand on her arm. "Trust me, please." Before Elena could respond, the sound of glass shattering echoed from the hallway. They rushed out to find one of the display cases broken, artifacts scattered on the floor. "What's happening?" Elena exclaimed. Staff members hurried to assess the damage. "It appears someone broke in," one of them reported. "How is that possible?" Isabella questioned. "Security is tight." Elena's eyes fell on a small missing item, the key to the family vault. "No." "What's wrong?" Isabella asked. "The vault contains our most valuable possessions," Elena explained. "If someone accesses it—" They exchanged a worried glance. Determined to prevent further loss, they headed to the basement where the vault was located. The heavy door stood ajar. "Stay back," Elena warned. They entered cautiously to find the vault ransacked. Precious heirlooms and documents were gone. Isabella clenched her fists. "This can't be happening!" Footsteps approached from behind. They turned to see Carlos, his expression grave. "I came as soon as I heard," he said. Elena faced him. "Did you know about this?" He looked genuinely puzzled. "Of course not." She remembered Alejandro's warning. "Carlos, I need you to be honest with me. What are your intentions?" He met her gaze steadily. "I'm trying to help you uncover the truth." "Then explain your connection to all of this," she demanded. He sighed. "Fine. My real name is Carlos Mendoza. I'm an undercover agent investigating a smuggling ring connected to your family." Elena felt as if the ground had shifted beneath her. "So you've been lying to me?" "I couldn't reveal my identity," he explained. "But my feelings for you are real." She shook her head. I don't know what to believe. Isabella stepped forward. At least he's admitting the truth. We need all the help we can get. Elena took a deep breath. All right, but no more secrets. Carlos nodded. Agreed. And I think I know where we can find answers. Where? Elena asked. There's a warehouse by the docks, he revealed. It's been used as a front for smuggling operations. If we can get in, we might find evidence linking Miguel, Alejandro, and possibly even Victoria. Isabella hesitated. It's risky. We don't have a choice, Elena declared. We need to end this.